Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad you're joining us for our show again this week. We're always happy for people like you, people that are interested in the issues that are happening in our city. Because for good government, it takes mayors, city council people, and residents and staff all working together for the city. So we're glad that you're interested in what's happening. If you haven't watched our show before, each week we'll have someone on from one of the 9 cities in CCX's viewing area. And we'll be learning about what are the issues that are happening in that particular city. And we do encourage you, if it's your city, to take down the mayor or the council person's name, phone number, email, and so that you can be in contact with them if there's some issues that are of real importance to you. And we're very happy tonight to welcome Duane Poppe to our show,
Thank
the
you.
mayor of Osseo.
Thank you.
Back again.
Yes, always a pleasure. Thank you.
So we're always glad to have you on and let us know what's happening up in the far northwest corner of our area.
Yep.
And you've been on before, so you know that I'd like you to introduce yourself out to our wider audience. Osseo people would know who you are, but some of the other cities might not.
Yeah, well, my name again is Duane Poppe. I'm the mayor of the city of Osseo. Just got reelected for my 3rd term. Was on the council for 3 years, and then 2 terms as mayor, so 7. So now 2 more years for in the city of Osseo. I've lived there since '99. So you know, we've been there 17 years with my wife and 3 children. And then my day job, I'm the managing principal of a commercial real estate firm, Lee & Associates, here in the Twin Cities. So.
And that gives you a lot of good experience that helps your city, I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of on the development side, and you know, trying to do some on the financial side as well. So.
Well, tonight we're going to talk about issues that are happening, and one of the things that happens with all of our cities, and I know it's happening with Osseo, is that you're working on your streets and alleys and any utility work, right?
Yeah, that's been a big issue from the council. We've really focused on the streets, because there was a number of years that the streets were, you know, in very bad disrepair, and a lot of pothole filling, and because really there was no funding, you know, for it, and really no planning for it. So as a council group, we've really, you know, rewind the clock a few years. We've really focused on, you know, let's really improve the infrastructure of the city, you know, and that's looking at all the items below the grade, you know, whether it be water, storm sewer, sanitary, and really trying to make sure that we do projects smartly, that we're doing fixing utilities rather than new road and then new utility right after that. So trying to, and then, you know, we laid out a plan a couple of years ago. We milled and overlaid half the city. And you know, so then that's just grinding it down and putting a new wear course on the top of it of bituminous. So we did that, and then we started on an 8-year plan of reconstruction or reclamation, where we actually grind the road bed up and the substructure, and then lay it down a new base, and then a new 4 or 6 inch bituminous on top of that. So we started that. You know, this year will be 2nd year, so then we'll have 6 more years to go through, and then be able to kind of finalize that plan. And at that point, some of the streets that we milled and overlaid, you know, we'll have to go back and probably do some work on those, you know. So, but the plan was, you know, over the 8 years, starting a couple of years ago, that every street in Osseo will have been touched, repaired, fixed, you know, to be able to have, you know, a nice smooth road bed.
Well, and that's important too when people are buying and selling homes, right?
Yeah, you know, and then we also, along with the streets, we also look at, you know, where it makes sense to put in sidewalks. So we've got some street projects this summer that you know, we're adding sidewalks as well, just for allowing pedestrians, get them off the street, get them on the sidewalk. You know, it's for kids on the bikes and just for kids out walking, and instead of being on the street, we'll, you know, try to get them on the sidewalks.
So that's something that you're kind of working towards.
Yeah, whenever it makes sense. You know, it's kind of case by, you know, being able to have a walking route, you know, through an area where there's sidewalk on either side, or really kind of being able to connect parks or residential areas with either downtown, or, you know, so people are, you know, safe to move around, and really trying to promote the, you know, walking livability of Osseo, which is, you know, everybody tries to build it, and we have it. We're just trying to enhance it.
Yes, you do. Now, you also have set up particular roads that you're going to work on. So you're doing that right now for this year's project.
Correct. Yep. We designated this was another one of the sections of roads that had some issues, and we also incorporate streets along with alleys. We did studies on the alleys as well, and the ratings on those, and then we're able to again over a 8-year period, and this will be the second year.
And then how do people find out about what roads are going to be worked on, or know in advance?
Yeah, we just had, we had kind of a end of December it was kind of a preliminary study and to go out and say these are the roads, this is what it's going to be, and now we're going out for bids. Then we'll receive those bids, and again, we'll have a assessment hearing once we determine the cost of the roads and the length of it, and then there'll be a public hearing on that, and then eventual award bidding, and then construction this summer. So there's still time for people to kind of understand where it's going to be, and those maps are already up on the city's website. So if people want to know which streets and alleys are going to be torn up, then
that's the best place to go.
Yep.
And then they can keep on top of it.
Yep.
Now, because people are happy when the process is done, but in the middle of the process, I'm sure that you've got ways of helping people deal with issues as they go through that.
And that's one thing we've really communicated with our city engineers is that communication is really the key for all of this, and it's really getting the information to the people in the project areas and understanding and giving them a heads up, because sometimes it's you don't want to come out and all of a sudden you can't get out of your driveway because you got a big hole there and you had no clue. So we try to as much communication, and and then they've got a website, and call in, and they've got the people, and we're really kind of making sure that they physically either hand the people something or talk to them, just rather than just shove something in the door and that nobody. Some people may never even open the front door.
So, that's true,
because they come from the side or the back into their house. So I mean, communication in all those projects is really the key to success.
So is there somebody in the city or somebody in the contractors that is?
Both, but
both
there's one designated person with the contractor that's on the job site, in the job areas, and really communicating with the residents, and they hand out a card, and a magnet sticker with their numbers, so people can put it on their refrigerator, and they can call at any time. So
and let people know that you encourage that.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes people fuss around, but they're not reaching the person that could help them.
Yeah.
Now, what is the completion date for this year's work?
They hope to get in the ground sooner rather than later. And that trying to get, it'll depend on the contractor that we select and what their job load is. But they again, it'll probably be midsummer again. We're hoping to get everything kind of wrapped up. It all ends up kind of being probably end of July. And by end of beginning of August is usually when everything's done by.
So it's on track, and you're at the point of looking for contractors?
Yeah, we're going to go out. We're going to go out for bid now.
Okay.
So we're soliciting bids. We approved the plans and the specs. That was the first meeting in January. So 2 meetings ago, and so now they're sending it out.
Yeah, because there's a definite process. So there's a lot of work going on before
the
roads actually start getting dug up and put back in place.
Many meetings and proposals and bid reviews.
And so will there be some streets that'll be done all the way down to the base again?
Yeah, this year there'll be an alley, so the alley will be dug up, and then we made the decision to go with concrete alleys, just a little more expensive in the front end, but over the time it's cheaper because they last longer.
Oh, sure.
And really the only traffic on them are garbage trucks, and a lot of people have their garages in the alleys in Osseo. So I mean, so you have car and then the garbage truck. So I mean, they're going to last considerably longer. So you don't have to seal coat them or pothole repair.
Right.
And, they're going to last. So that we'll have that, and then the rest of the street projects are all reclamations. Again, that's spot curb repair, but we won't have to touch the curbs, or the driveway aprons, and then just taking the bituminous and the substructure and grinding that all up, laying that down as a base, and then coming over with new asphalt on top of that. So.
Yeah, so there's two kinds of things that get done depending on the condition of the road.
Yep, correct.
Now, you have there is an EDA group, Economic Development Authority, right?
Correct.
And the council, and they both work together on redevelopment. Maybe you can talk about this process and who's on your EDA group and how they work together for redeveloping things.
Yeah, the council and the EDA is a combination of the council members and business and residents on the EDA. And it's a seven-member board, 5 being the council and then a business person and a resident. And really the goal is to drive economic development.
Right.
Looking at different opportunities in which to help redevelop the city of Osseo. And I mean, they were very active in a lot of the projects that we got done over the last few years. So they but that's their main goal is how can we redevelop, develop, bring in more business to the city of Osseo.
And it needs to be a planned thing rather than a hit and miss kind of project, right? In today's
the
governing market.
Yeah, the guiding principle is the comprehensive plan,
right?
And that's currently being updated. But that's really kind of the roadmap of kind of the vision of a lot of people's input. And as a council and EDA, we've used it over the last 7 years to really kind of understand, what do we want to do and what kind of development do we want to see and how are we doing that? Developing smartly, and that's trying to build density in the core along Central Avenue, getting rooftops, bodies to support the businesses. Because it comes down to you need rooftops, you need bodies coming in those stores. You can't. It's not like the Field of Dreams. You'll build it and they'll come. You need the bodies. And then being able to do lesser density, and then eventually the single-family homes, throughout Osseo, and then also giving different types of housing stock, to attract different types of people to the city.
So there's a lot of work going into that whole process too, and we'll talk about that a little later, the comprehensive plan. But your park, now am I going to pronounce it right? I'm not sure. Boorboom.
Yes.
Boorboom Park is right in the middle of downtown Osseo, right? And the city is looking to expand that. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Boorboom Park, as you said, it's right kind of almost under the water tower. Water tower is right by the city hall, and just across the street from city hall is the park. And currently the band shell's there. We have Veterans Memorial there. So we hold Memorial Day services there, and that's where we do the movie and music's in the park. And currently the park itself is a half a city block. And what we've talked about is, long term and trying to build kind of that central core, that central heart of Osseo. We decided we wanted to expand the park. So over the last few years, as the houses, because there's 4 houses on the eastern side of that, kind of behind the pine trees that you can see from the Central Avenue. So there's 4 houses there, and we've went and purchased. The city has 3 of those homes as they came available. I mean, we haven't kicked anybody out. And, so they came available. We purchased them, and we're currently renting those out. And then we have 1 home to go who's been a member of the city planning for 20 years. So, and she, whenever she wants to go, we're just kind of waiting. But in anticipation of that, we'll have that 1 city block park right in downtown, right in the kind of it becomes the heart of the city, and that's really as we build festivals and community events, that's really where it's going to be.
Oh, definitely.
And so it's one of those things that you have one chance to get right, and there'll be a lot of planning and thought to go into that.
And you're at a point now where you've got a steering committee dealing with this issue?
Yeah, we set up.
How many people are on there, and what do they do?
Yeah, we set up a Park and Rec committee to really not only do that, but because we're looking at other. We have some summer programs for youth. Yoga programs for anybody, and adult exercise. So we have a lot more things that we're offering within the city, and looking at different avenues and activities, if you will. So that's kind of the Park and Rec committee, and also kind of get out in front of as we start to develop this park, and kind of the comprehensive planning now is gathering people's input. Of what would you like to see in that park, and we try to take all that input and then look and say, is this can this fit? Can this work? How can all these pieces work? And eventually, as we get closer, we'll probably end up, hiring a consultant as well to help us kind of work through that process.
Right.
But yeah, it's still, I would say another, year or two out that, it's going to happen.
But this is a good time if people have some thoughts and ideas that they'd like to see there to start sharing that with your Park and Rec Commission or with the City Council, right?
Yeah, or either the planner,
right?
Nancy. Yep.
So that it's kind of a long-term process that's dependent on when you have all the land available.
Correct. Yep.
What kind of benefits do you think the park will bring to the city as you build it up?
I think again it's that centralized point, that kind of that the vision is kind of that Norman Rockwell downtown setting that you've got that town square where kind of everything happens.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of what the vision of what we hope that it turns into be.
Well, and you have a lot of events that take place there and get a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean there's various events from Easter egg hunt, the car show, to Lions Roar, to homecoming activities, and I mean so it's just we're again trying to build that becomes the heart of the city.
So now maybe you could talk, moving on in redevelopment, what are some of the newer businesses that have come to Osseo? We haven't talked with you for quite a while, so over say the last 6 months plus.
Yeah, a number of new businesses have come to town, and CCX News just did a nice piece on Osseo on Monday, and saying that it was a really nice piece about how they've really seen with all the development and what's going on, really a thriving, and there's been a big change to Osseo, and I mean there was a lot of positive comments, and it was Riley, the city administrator, was on talking about what we've done, but they had some input from local realtors, and I mean really had a lot of positive things to say about Osseo, and I mean it wasn't solicited by us by any means. So no, that was nice. But I mean it really, a lot of the new businesses up and down. We've got a few nice antique and vintage kind of stores up and down, and they're really doing some joint programming together. We've got Painted Turtle Chocolatier, Infinity Floral, and then we're just getting the new one, Red Savoy's Pizza. It's opening in a week. We got some other businesses like Roshan Corporation built a new 10,000 square foot office building, and then another new business leased the bottom of that. So we're bringing in businesses along with retail, and just more bodies and more people is really the key.
Well, and that takes long-term planning and a lot of reach out on the part of city council people and staff people, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're always kind of out telling the story about the hamlet of good living that Osseo is. Right. Because I think there's been a change over the time that I've been kind of really watching cities, for where cities kind of let businesses come and go as they wanted to versus actively getting involved in attracting them. Yeah, I think you see that not only in Osseo but kind of across the metro, that it's all about job recruitment and jobs, and having amenities and diversity that people want and will keep the workforce there, because I mean it's a competitive market right now for labor, so everyone's competing for those jobs. So it's the city understands it and kind of has heard the business community and trying to build things around to support the businesses. Well,
and one of the things that happened through your redevelopment is that whole apartment process that's increased the population of your city, right?
5 Central was a big win for us, and I mean that was 140 units, fully leased up. I mean that's 250 people that'll be there. That's 10% population increase overnight. And that's was kind of that news story they referred to it too, is that you're starting to see a lot more people moving around up and down, frequenting the businesses. I mean you talk to from Dean's to the restaurants to the other merchants. They just have really seen a uptick in traffic, and just foot traffic too, and just people out walking the dogs, and just people up and down Main Street. So.
And are there some areas that you're looking to further redevelop? Because I know you've done a lot of redevelopment over the past, 8 years that you've been on the council.
Yeah, there's some key areas that we're focusing on. Some older buildings that
Okay.
we've looked at. That we've talked to some different groups to redevelop those, and whether it be a brew pub or a distillery to a office to a restaurant to a so we're looking at a lot of different options.
Right.
And then there's some key sites as well, and I think hopefully we'll be seeing some new development coming out of the ground in the next 12 months if everything goes as planned.
Right.
But so stay tuned. We're always trying to figure out where the next place is to.
Well, and there's a lot of behind the scenes work that happens, right?
Yeah, a lot of behind the scenes work. As you see some of those decisions at a council level. But I mean, it's been a year or 2 years.
Oh, right.
Kind of getting to that point. So I mean, I know some people have said, "Well, it just happened so fast." It was like, well, yes, the decision did because
Right.
we've all been through so much material and information to get to that point. When a decision needs to be made to move to the next step, it's may seem fast, but there's a lot of meetings and a lot of information piled through to get to that point.
Yeah, and if you haven't done that work, you're not going to have successful redevelopment because you won't reach the people that can come in and want to build that particular business in your community.
Yep.
So well, now to move into a completely different topic, each year or part of the year I pick something that I'm reading in the papers and then ask everybody to respond to it. So you're the first person that we're going to do this with. But Minneapolis and St. Paul have been discussing, and there's all kinds of information about adding regulations to their cities that have provided a fair amount of criticism from businesses.
Yes.
And these have dealt with offering sick leave for employees, packaging rules, no polystyrene containers, eco-friendly packaging, plastic bag bans, raising the minimum wage. So these are all issues that are happening at the two cities levels right now. And so I thought it would be interesting to hear about are you getting any, the suburbs, both ones that you know about and your own, do you see any movement in that area for suburban cities in that particular group where people are lobbying for those kinds of things?
We have not seen that in Osseo.
Okay.
And I guess, in my opinion on it, I mean, the city our job is to plow the streets and and deliver, make sure that your waste is removed and you have water, and we provide services for people.
Right.
And to get to and obviously zoning and regulations to make sure that everything is safe and cleanly and all that. And beyond that, I in my opinion, cities I think should stay out of it. And
what are some of the problems that you think might occur if cities move in that direction?
Maybe it's my philosophy, but I think the free market is more efficient than a government ever can be because of the steps and the processes that you have to go through. And I think some of them, regulations and things are put in place for safety of the public or betterment of the whole, and I mean those make some sense. But I mean, when you really start controlling and dictating, I think that's when some issues arise.
Well, and like I said, there's a lot of criticism, lots of publicity about that, but it's like the beginning of something that might go somewhere or might not, right? Now, part of that whole process is that there's debate about whether this is something that should be done on a city basis or on a statewide basis. So maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
your thoughts on that.
The state holds our charters, from cities' basis. So, I mean, ultimately we have. I mean, any laws that was always any laws or things we do can't supersede what the state does. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how some of the stuff plays out.
Right.
To hold up, whether it be in court or how it's gonna transpire. Because I mean, we can't. I mean, that was always we can't make any laws that supersede what the state does. So, I guess stay tuned.
And there's some people that say, well, this shouldn't be done on a case-by-case basis, it should cover the whole state or not be done at all.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so, in Osseo, you haven't had anybody wanting things beyond the kind of the basic core things that cities need to work on?
No.
Okay.
I mean, get occasional requests for some crazy things.
Right. But not
no.
in that area,
No,
right?
no,
right.
no, nothing. Nothing.
But
like
that's
that.
why I thought it'd be kind of interesting just to see what's happening in the different
Yep.
cities, because I think St. Louis Park, maybe Edina, we're looking at packaging issues.
Yep.
But it depends upon the people in your city and whether people are lobbying to look into those kinds of
Yep.
things.
Yeah.
And then you referenced a little bit on the city elections, but now in Osseo, all of the current people on the board got reelected, right? And you didn't have anybody running against you.
Yeah, luckily
Yeah.
I was running unopposed.
Right.
And there was a number of people running for the 2 open council seats. And this is really the first time since early 90s that all people that were on the council or mayor got reelected back
Right.
as the whole council. And one thing that really troubled me kind of during the election cycle was some of the people that were running against the people that were currently there.
Right.
And some of the things that they were saying during their campaign, and I guess it troubled me a little bit and thought, is this what people really believe?
Right.
Is there that much misinformation out there, or is this just sound bites for people to campaign on? And it was interesting, and I guess it helped validate that people kind of saw through it. They see the value in what we're doing, and they approve of it. And I mean, and everyone got voted back in. So I mean, it was not really surprising, but I mean, it was good affirmation that people understand and they and see the value in what we're doing.
Yeah, because that's a real measure of how much you're reaching out to people and how much they're understanding about what you're doing, right?
Correct.
When it comes down to elections.
Yeah.
So now you get a 2-year term, but the Harold Johnson gets
Yeah, Harold and Mark both won. Council
both-
members are 4-year terms.
4 years terms.
So every 2 years you have 2 council and mayor
Right.
come up. So I mean, there's been quite a bit of turnover for a number of years at all those different positions.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
But we've tried to stabilize and calm things down, and I think it's I mean, the whole council has done a great job, and we got great city staff now. So I mean, we like to keep it quiet.
Right.
City politics should be boring.
Right. Getting things done and listening to people and getting things done.
Correct.
So that's a good point. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming and being on our show and letting people know what's happening in Osseo. So we'll encourage you to tune in next week for part 2 on Osseo's issues. And we're glad that you've been with us, and we hope you'll keep with us and keep up with what's happening in our cities. Bye.